to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com.
Welcome to episode 15 of season 12. This is episode number 424, all time, of the often imitated, never duplicated, we're all just a bunch of keyboard warriors. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. Special thanks to our sponsors, RockinThatIDLife.com, StrikeWithMike.com, and Center Ice Brewery for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at Let'sGoBlues.com for some well-designed and fairly priced Blues-themed t-shirts. It's Wednesday, August 16th. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all social channels is LGB Radio. Just search for us and you'll find us. If you haven't already done so, please like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, buy a t-shirt from our shop, take an ad out on Valley Sports Midwest, or do whatever you can do to help us out. I'm your host, Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by Bruce Racine's favorite student, Bill Day. Kurt Price and producer Austin are on assignment. The agenda for tonight includes discussion about the sorta new hire for Valley Sports Midwest and your picks for the goalie positions of the Blues all-time team. All that and more on this incorrigible episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. I am, of course, as I said, joined by Bill Day. I hope you liked a couple of the jokes I threw in that are a little timely to our first discussion, which we'll get to. But, Bill, haven't had you on in a little while. How are things going?
Oh, going well. Loving this. This is season 12 of St. Louis seasons, and it's false fall, right? It's
yes.
Nice, cool August nights. Loving it. Now looking forward to next week. And I will correct you. I cannot claim to be one of Bruce Racine's pupils. If anybody can claim that, it would be Lindsay Middlebrook. I am of the era that attended his goalie camp. Bruce was still playing with the Blues when I was still playing.
Oh, so. That's right. I knew that. Oh, well, there's a stat correction already on this episode.
Yeah.
Lindsay Middlebrook's favorite student. There you go. That's what I should have said. I'll edit that in later for the podcast.
Yeah, former New York Rangers goaltender, also had a cup of coffee with the Blues and stayed here, and was the hockey director at Johnny Mac's for years and years. And also the Blues E-Bud back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, that would have been crazy to see him get in for a game at that age. Because he would have been, in his late 40s at that point?
Yeah, at that point he was, yeah.
Whew. He's still with us, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah, I think he is.
We should seek him out for an interview sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. Talk to his old pupil, Bill Day. I'm sure he'd remember you.
I'm sure he would too. Right.
So again, we've there's some big news we'll talk about here with the Blues, but nothing really going on for me right now. Again, I said it last week, it's August, right? I mean, there's not a lot going on in the hockey world. I'm still playing summer league. That's really all I've got going on hockey related. I do have a shout out that I want to give tonight. So I actually had a gentleman come out and fix my garage door. I was having some issues. It was weird. I don't know if you ever had this happen, Bill. One day, it just wouldn't open. We couldn't get any of the clickers to work. We couldn't get anything in the garage, the buttons in the garage to work. And then the next day we called that day and they were like, yeah, we'll send someone out tomorrow morning. Wake up the next day, all of a sudden everything's working. And I'm like, God, you got to be kidding me. But I was like, still come out because it's happened once before. And so I'm like, come on out anyway. He found the issue. He fixed it very quickly. But I just want to shout out from Cardinal Door, which is a great, they were very quick at their work and very good at what they did. Cardinal Door, if you have problems with your garage. TJ was my technician. He was a Blues and Georgia Bulldogs fan. Very awesome. And we found out apparently his wife is a big fan of the show. So I have not seen his wife or talked to his wife, but knowing the TJ that I spoke with, I'm sure his wife is lovely and very cool. So I wanted to shout out TJ and his wife. I did not catch her name, but very cool. So it was very nice to kind of talk to him. And it was funny because he was like, I kept saying your name. He's like, Jeff Ponder. I know I've heard that name. And he's like, I finally called my wife and asked her, do we know a Jeff Ponder? And she's like, that's the Blues podcast guy. And she knew right away. And he's like, oh, and he looked me up on Facebook and he was like, oh yeah, that's him. So I was like, man, and he made me feel like a celebrity, which I am not. So that was very fun. He was a very cool guy. And again, hello to TJ and his wife. I hope you guys are listening and enjoying this summer series as we list off the Blues all-time team.
So you may not be a celebrity, but I think this puts you in the category of semi-famous regionally.
Yeah. What did Angela Sharp used to call herself on Facebook? I think it was regionally famous Angela Sharp.
Yeah.
So I'll go with that. Regionally famous Jeff Ponder.
Yeah. That used to be a thing, I think, in Game Time. Back when Game Time was still a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's true.
Peace.
Rest in peace, unfortunately. Yeah, regionally famous. I'm going to stick with that. I don't even think that's fair, but I'll take it. Why not? What's smaller than regionally? Locally famous?
Yes.
All right, so official beers of episode number 424. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. Kurt's at Seat Price 12. I am J Ponder 94, and Bill's at Billy Blue Note 33. And of course, Austin is not on there because he is underage and never touched a beer in his life. Bill, I'll start real quick. I don't have a beer tonight. I'm just drinking Old Faithful. I got some Dr. Pepper. For probably the first time in my life, well, adult life, I don't have any beer in the house, and I didn't realize it until about 8:15 tonight. Yeah, well, I had like 3 last night, and I was like, oh, I'll go out and get some tomorrow, and I completely forgot. And it was like 8:15. I'm like, I could run to the store, or I could just drink a Dr. Pepper tonight. So sticking with the Dr. Pepper. How often have you been without beer in your house?
Never. Seriously, so since probably the last time would have been over 10 years ago.
Wow.
Because I always have at least, I have a shit ton of quote unquote cellar beer. I don't have a cellar, but I have a cabinet full of beer down in my basement. So
there you go.
And I've been acquiring it since right around 2012 or so.
Nice.
And not that I think I have one beer that's old and I'll never drink it, but I've always had some in the background. So
now that I think about it, I actually do have some of the 2019 Blue Stanley Cup champion beer over there. So
yeah, the Bud Light, you could go crack one of those.
Yeah, I could go grab one of those warm ones and see what I think, but I think I'll just stick with the Dr. Pepper tonight.
Yeah, it's an August show, right? It's not that big of a deal. So
no, yeah, I'll admit, if this was like October, November, December, I would have gone to the store and been like, I'm going to go get a beer or a couple beers and have it for the show. But yeah, like you said, with August, it's like, it's August. This is a little bit more relaxed. We don't have our normal shtick. So I'm like, not needed tonight.
And if you would have gone to the store, what you would have bought.
What would I have bought?
Oktoberfest. It's there.
Is it out?
It's been 3 weeks. Schnucks in Edwardsville had it before the calendar flipped to August.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's so. Or I feel like it gets earlier and earlier every year.
Yep.
I remember I saw it in the store and I posted a picture with it. It was like the last week of August and being like, "What? We already have Oktoberfest beer? Now you're saying it was out in July? I mean,
Yes.
that's insane."
Yes. They had many, many different varieties, from Sam Adams to Shiner. So yeah, it's everywhere right now. So
Man, I've told you before, like after for whatever reason, I don't know if it's our side of the river or if it's just the area in South County that I'm in or whatever, but it's like after Halloween, it becomes like a search to try and find Oktoberfest and pumpkin beer. And I'm like, man, I would rather than them releasing it in July, apparently, I'd rather you release it a little later and then keep it around until Christmas. Because that's what I do. I go out and buy a bunch of Oktoberfest and pumpkin beer before Halloween, and I just live off that until like January.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, reason number 5,203,000 that you should move to this side of the river. There's always pumpkin beer through Christmas.
Well, to be fair,
here.
To be fair, I am literally in walking distance of Illinois. Like the JB Bridge is right over there, so I can go over to Illinois anytime I want.
And Red Roof is right there.
That's
just
true.
That walk down 255 to Route 3 and up. Yeah.
Yep.
Red Roof. If you want to buy, some really good bourbon at way expensive prices, they have it all.
That's good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
You can go get a bottle of Pappy 10 for $900.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, totally can afford that. 100%. Good use that podcast money. How about you, Bill? What are you drinking tonight?
I dipped into the back of the fridge. Need to clean out last year's stuff. I found a gem.
Oh, boy.
You're going to be jealous. I have
Fat
one
Elvis.
left. One left. And all its banana goodness is.
That is so. I remember this is going to sound stupid, but like I will probably remember for a long time. I don't know if I can say till my deathbed, but I will remember for a long time the first time that I had a drink of Fat Elvis. I went to Llewellyn's because Kurt had told me the weekend before. He was like, "Hey, I was at Llewellyn's and they have Fat Elvis," because I couldn't find it in stores anywhere. So I was like, that next Friday, I was like, you know what? After work, I'm gonna go up and get a Fat Elvis, and that's what I did. I just went up there after work, sat down at the bar, ordered a Fat Elvis, and I took a drink. And the bartender, I guess, was like looking at me as I took a drink, and I was just like, oh. And like it was just this shock and like refreshing feeling that I got. And I was like, oh, this is so good. And she just looked at me and started laughing. She goes, "You had one of those before?" And I'm like, "No, this is my first one." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "You're going to be here all night drinking that." And I'm like, if I do that, I might throw up. But I'm like, just one, I'll take it. Oh, look who's joining us.
Yeah.
Mr. Kurt Price is in the house.
It's the man, the myth, the legend, the pickleball legend.
The pickleball legend, yeah.
I was getting text messages from people saying, "Why aren't you on LGB radio?" And I was like,
"We didn't tell them about the show."
So I had to come on and give the people what they want.
Who are these people that are texting you?
Just everybody. Just
everybody.
Everybody.
You just give your number out to all of our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. People.
Most importantly, Darren Kimball.
Right. Yeah, Darren Pang, Darren Kimball, all the Darrens.
Yep, Darrens love us.
Yeah. We're the number one blues podcast for Darrens.
For Darrens, yes. Well, Kurt, we're on beer of the episode. Do you have something you're drinking tonight?
I have a very nice and shiny silver mug of water. So nothing exciting.
Sorry, Bill, you're drinking alone tonight.
Yeah, make it be out to be the alcoholic I've turned it out to be.
Yeah. I'm Dr. Pepper. That's all I'm rocking tonight. As I was telling Bill, Kurt, I've never I can't remember in my adult life not having beer in my house, and I don't have any tonight.
Never haven't. I mean, I have. You know what? Now that you mention it, I'm trying to remember when I've been completely out of beer. I've always had something in the house.
Well, as I was telling Bill, I do have the 2019 Bud Light Blues Stanley Cup beer, but it's warm and it's been sitting in the corner over there for 4 years now. So I'm like, I'll just stick to Dr. Pepper.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, it's like
it's the best of the spiced colas. Would you say?
Oh, 100%. I've told my wife before, because that is like, if I were to say I was addicted to anything, it's Dr. Pepper. That's it. I am not addicted to alcohol. As bad as I'm making myself sound. Saying
you could have fooled me.
Yeah.
I've seen you in action.
I've just never had an addictive personality. I've never been addicted to anything. But like, I really think like if they just stop making Dr. Pepper, I would have a fucking hissy fit for months, because I'd be like, what? Now I got to drink Mr. Pibb? He doesn't even have a fucking degree.
A buddy of mine collects cans of the different kinds of spiced colas. You know, everybody's got their own Doctor or Mister or something.
Dr. Thunder.
Dr. Thunder.
I had a friend tell me, because I do enjoy trying the different spiced colas, like the Dr. Thunder. There's a couple other ones that I've had recently. And I have a friend that says, like, dude, you should have a podcast or a YouTube show where you try all the different spiced colas. And I'm like, I would love to do that. If it wasn't for Let's Go Blues Radio, I would probably do that.
That's a great idea. You'd have to, I mean, a buddy of mine who's got like 25 cans in his office or whatever behind him, he's tried. We could
pitch that to him.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
They also do the Mountain Dew varieties, right? Everybody
Right.
has their own Mountain Dew version. And I had you ever have Dr. Enough?
No.
Sounds
ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous until you hear their slogan, enough is enough.
That's awesome.
And it's a Mountain Dew variety. It's quite good, actually.
Ken Morris jumps in the chat here. Ken, good to see you. We haven't seen you in a little while. He says, yeah, I remember tonight's show. Great to see the three gents together again. Yeah, we're kind of gearing up for the season. I mean, it's, mid-August. We're getting there. I don't know if I told you fellas that I'm going to be in Vegas the last week of September for a bachelor party, and the first preseason game for the Knights will be the week I'm there. So we are going to go, hopefully, to that game. They're playing the Kings, so I will be wearing my Kings jersey because fuck the Knights. But I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, you got to go Kings there. Even though I'm not a big Kings fan.
Me neither.
Because the Blues had the rivalry with the Kings for a while.
Yep.
So but if it's Kings or Knights, it's Kings all the way.
I'm excited about that. I haven't been to T-Mobile Arena yet. I haven't even been to Vegas since the Knights moved there, or appeared there. So I'm excited to go. I'm afraid tickets will be crazy because it'll be the first official game after the Cup win. So I'm a little concerned, but I'm like, come on, it's preseason. Hopefully it's not too bad.
How was it? I'm trying to remember how it was when the Blues won the first preseason game. Was it nuts? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think I want to say I actually got invited to that game, but I had something that I couldn't get out of. And I was
we were all still too drunk.
I probably was.
We still are.
Yes. Well, Golden Knights fans have had to go through as much as we have, so I'm sure they're all drunk too.
Yeah, long and tortured fan base.
Oh, they've had so many rough years.
Fuck them. All of them. Fuck them all.
Well, we were talking about Darren's earlier, Darren Pangs, Darren Pang, Darren Kimball, people who are fans of this show. Here's another one, Jamie Rivers, big fan of Let's Go Blues Radio. You missed
Keyboard
my intro.
Warriors.
Yeah, Kurt, that was in the intro.
Yeah.
You missed that. So our first big news topic, well, actually our only real news topic before we get into the goaltending reveal, Bally's officially hires Jamie Rivers as the Blues color commentator. This was of no surprise to anyone. He had 27 appearances. I thought it was more But this was from Dan Caesar of STL Today. Apparently, he appeared on the TV broadcast last year 27 times as a studio analyst, 12 times as a color analyst, filling in for Pang when he did his national broadcast duties. Rivers said of the, I guess, quote unquote promotion. He says, I'm extremely excited. It's an opportunity I've wanted for a long time. With Darren Pang here, I never thought this opportunity would come to fruition because, look, Panger is one of the best in the business. He's been doing it forever. At the time, I thought, why would he leave? Why would there be a reason to leave? I just figured I'd continue to maximize my opportunities behind the studio desk and take advantage of whatever opportunities I had to do in-game stuff, end quote. Bally Sports Midwest General Manager Jack Donovan says he was the lead candidate from the get-go, but it was a very big job and there was very big interest. We had candidates from not only all over St. Louis, but all over the U.S. and Canada. Some had Blues connections and some did not. There were a lot of people who raised their hand and wanted the job. This also comes with the news, of course, with Bally Sports, their parent company going through bankruptcy. But unfortunately, even through all that, the Blues have been consistent in their ratings. They rank among the top 5 for U.S.-based teams for the last decade. So, guys, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about here, but I kind of want to start the conversation around what Jack Donovan said. He basically said there was a lot of interest. Listen, Jamie Rivers, the problems he's had with our show in the past aside, I think he does a fine job. I'm not upset about this hire. I think he's a lot of times I think he's actually outperformed Darren Pang in some of his commentary. There's a lot of times he gets out the telestrator and what he says makes a lot more sense than some of the stuff that Pang has said in the past. So I'll give him the thumbs up there. But my question is, he was the lead candidate. We all knew that. But saying that there was so much interest from all over, I'm sorry. Jamie Rivers was the best option of all that interest. I'm sorry. That was the thing I said from the get-go. As long as they do their due diligence and don't just hand the job to Rivers, I'm happy either way. And maybe he was. Maybe he really was the best option. But I just find it hard to believe that there was that much interest in this job, and Jamie Rivers is the one who stands out as the lead best person for the gig.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be fine, right? He's not going to blow my skirt up. He's not going to bring the same energy or the same likability that Pang had. But I mean, that's why you say nobody can replace Pang really in that regard. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not even when the news broke, I was like, nah, all right, fine, whatever. Yeah. I mean, you knew it was coming, but it's like, it doesn't excite anybody. Right. So yeah.
It's a safe hire.
Yeah.
Right. We all, like Jeff said, everybody knew it was coming. I have to say, I was hoping for the CBC boy Joey Vitale. I would have preferred him. But Rivers has put in his time. And yeah, we'll see what he does. I think it's something that he's been, he's gotten some real life experience and some in season trials, like you said last year. He's okay, but we'll see. We won't have all the the golf chatter that used to take Pang off of course all too often. But I feel like it's kind of like a step backwards. We were able to bring in a nationally, when the job was open last time, I brought in a nationally recognized talent, and now we've got local boy does good, right? He's at this point St. Louis. Like he said in his statement today, he's from Canada, born in Canada, but he is a St. Louis man now, right? So
Adopted child of St. Louis.
Yeah.
I'll give him that distinction. Just like kind of like Brett Hull. He's an adopted child at this point.
Two comments in the chat. Brandon Capone and Matt Harris both sad that we didn't get the gig.
Yeah. Can you imagine poor John Kelly if the three of us were in the booth with him?
Who's down on the ice though? One of us has to be down on the ice between the benches.
That's got to be Bill, right?
Whoever has the best Rob Ramage impression, I think.
Ooh,
Back up to you, Ken. That's his best line.
that's a good call. I don't know. I think it's Bill. I think Bill's the one that's got to sit down between the benches. That means you got to interview Berube.
That'll be great.
And the number one star of the game too.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy this year with Tarasenko getting a third of the games and playing to the crowd every time. There's going to be some variety this year. It's going to be a tough gig. I really pray for Jamie Rivers.
Yeah, and again, I think Matt Harris actually says it pretty well here. My only complaint about Rivers is he just feels very basic or vanilla. Just want to hear him say "fuck" or something.
Well, listen to his podcast. You'll hear.
Well, he doesn't do that anymore. He's on the radio now.
Well, he told somebody that. Well, don't they release their show as a podcast?
Yeah, but
he does something because he replied to somebody on Twitter just the other day after he accepted, and they said, "Are you still doing the podcast?" And he goes, "Yep." And I wonder what he meant by that. Maybe I don't know.
Does he do another podcast?
Maybe he means the release of the radio show as a podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because I don't think he does a podcast anymore. He's just been on his two gigs have been Fastlane and the Blues.
And when he was doing a podcast, yeah, he would cuss like a sailor.
Yeah,
he cussed like a hockey player.
Yeah, he did.
So,
yep. Yeah. No, and again, I know we've had issues in the past, and for those that don't know, it was back when he was, what is that even called? The Blues NHL podcast.
Yes.
With him and Darren Kimball. Our beef wasn't even with him. It was with Darren Kimball's awful, terrible, ridiculously bad takes and
old
Rivers,
school mindset.
And Rivers kind of agree with them. And we were just kind of like, hey, that's not really how it is anymore. And then we just got blasted by Rivers for absolutely no reason.
Called a bunch of keyboard warriors.
Called us keyboard warriors. And I'm like, okay, we're not keyboard warriors. We're literally on a podcast debating with you. That doesn't make us keyboard warriors, but whatever. Anyway, we need to find that because you still have that clip, right?
I have the clip somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. We need to get that in our open for this year.
That's what I was about to say. The same thing. That's got to come.
Yeah. With him taking over the role. Yeah.
We should have it dubbed where like one of us is just like now, we have an open and say like, and now here's keyboard warriors. Yeah, we can do something like that. But anyway, so I'll agree with Matt. And, again, I have, in terms of his broadcasting ability, I don't have any problems with Jamie Rivers. I wasn't upset. And I said this when Pang left. I'm not heartbroken over Pang leaving. I'm okay with it. I'm actually cool with the new voice coming in as a color commentator. But yeah, it's just a very vanilla hire. And it was just one of those things too, where we all saw this coming. Like there was no,
well, we said it was coming before they even, as soon as Pang,
I would say 95%. I was 95% confident that it was going to go to Jamie Rivers, no matter what. Like Joe Micheletti could have walked in and been like, I'll take a 40% pay cut to come back and work in St. Louis. They were still going to give the job to Jamie Rivers.
I'd rather have Micheletti than Pang.
Oh, me too. 100%.
And,
for sure.
And I'm trying to think back real quick. He's the best color analysts we've ever had, I think. Right? I'm trying to go back. I don't think. I mean, you go back to the Gus Kyle days, right? Gus Kyle and Kelly. So Dan
hard
Kelly.
for me to comment on that because I didn't hear that as a kid.
Yeah. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes there, but
I would say
of guys I've heard.
The earliest that I remember as a color commentator, it was Joe Micheletti. So going back that far to what, early 90s, late 80s?
Late 80s,
going back that far, it's Joe Micheletti 100% for me.
Yeah. Yep.
And
him and Ken Wilson were great.
People saying that, and I know a lot of it's recency bias, but literally people in like the Facebook comments of this announcement and then the announcement when Pang left of calling him the GOAT. He is the GOAT of broadcasting, Darren Pang. And I'm just like,
I mean, he's got a great resume. I mean, if you go, he's been, all the NHL.com stuff and the national broadcasts, NBC, NBCSN, whatever they're doing, ESPN. I mean, his resume is second to none for color guys, right? Pretty much. I guess so you look at that and you can say, okay, yeah, but when you hear him every game, right, during the season for years, and I like Pang, but there was, and like you said, I agree with you, Jeff. I'm not overly upset that he left. I was. We talked about the hometown bias slant and how it just was so extreme sometimes, especially when the team was struggling last year. It just got really old really quick. It was like, just tell it like it is. We want to hear the
talking shit on younger players too. That got annoying very quickly too. Like, okay, so a veteran makes the same mistake and you're not going to say anything about it.
Yeah. See and the problem with all that is that they they're friends with all of them, right? So they, I mean, most of the veterans. So and I get it. You don't want to rag on a guy too much if he's your buddy, and you have to talk to him every day and get information from him, right? As for to talk about during the broadcast. You don't want to piss him off. Have word get back to him that he's getting trashed on the air. I mean, I get it. He's kind of playing the politician's role in a way, right? Where he wants to keep those communication lines open with the players too.
Matt Harris says, not to exaggerate, but Pang is part of what got me into the Blues and hockey itself. I'm going to miss him. And hey, I'm not trashing anybody who thinks that. I'm not saying you're wrong if you like Darren Pang a ton. It's just for me, I'll admit, I wasn't a fan when he was hired. I was like, oh my God, that really annoying guy who just laughs into the microphone the whole game. But, I did warm up to him a little bit once he came here and he was doing the Blues stuff. And he is an excellent hockey ambassador. Just great. Loved having him as part of the Blues for that reason alone. But, I'm just saying I'm not going to miss him that much. It's not like I saw people literally saying, and they're just being assholes, but people literally saying, well, guess I'm not tuning in since Pang's gone. And it's like, if you're watching the Blues because of the color commentator, you're not watching hockey for the right reasons.
Yeah. That's lame.
Yeah, your priorities are gone. I think with Pang, that towards, I think the timing was good for him to move on, because I think, even our commentary on him over the last couple of years was getting more abrasive. He's just, his shtick was starting to wear thin. And where's this team go? Like, we won the cup in 19 and, now, it's a great opportunity for him. And I think, honestly, it's a really good hire for Chicago, right? They were getting panned for the first year post Olchek and Foley. Their broadcasts were just not good. And they were giving some younger talent a chance, and it wasn't going to work out. And now that they've got Connor Bedard, they need somebody who knows what he's talking about. And Pang will be there, and I think it's a shrewd pick for them.
Well, and how many holy jumpins are we going to get now with a Connor Bedard goal? That's what I mean. Literally, we hear that in NHL highlight reels with Blues goals. Now we're going to get it all the time with Connor Bedard goals. So it's only going to help his persona and kind of lift his name even more than it already was.
Right, and 2 more points. So one thing we will never have to experience again: Schwizzle Schwartz.
Oh, I hated that.
Thank God.
I hated that. That was so dumb. That was so forced.
And then on the point of Jamie Rivers,
it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I love that. I love that so much.
But on the point of Jamie Rivers, they could have got back to the Coyotes and brought back Tyson Nash. And thank God that didn't happen.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
I was actually kind of hoping, and I don't know if he was even up for it. From what I've heard from Jamal Mayers, I think he does a very good job. He did some Chicago games last year, and I've liked his work. So I was kind of interested in that. I don't know for a fact, but I know that before Carlo Koliakovo has shown interest in coming and joining the Blues broadcast. So that would have been interesting.
I've never heard him do any kind of.
He's on Toronto radio. He does a radio show.
Yeah, but
he's pretty damn funny.
Has he done games? I haven't heard him do any games.
I've never heard him do games. So I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he even was involved in this one. I'd love to ask him. I might actually do that. But yeah, it would have been interesting for him. You know, former players. I'm sure a lot of former players showed interest. I wonder if like a Jamie McLennan. I mean, he probably does very well with TSN, but you got to wonder maybe because he always talks about how much he loves St. Louis and loves coming down here. So I'm sure there was a lot of interesting names. And again, that's kind of going back to my original point of Jamie Rivers was 100% the obvious choice.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe. I can't, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but if there's not bankruptcy issues going on right now and they got to kind of, you know, because again, at this point, you think about hiring someone, you've already got Jamie Rivers under contract, so you're going to be bringing him back next year anyway. Might as well just bring in a guy that you already have under contract, give him a little pay bump, and that way you're not spending a lot of money for a company that's going bankrupt. I think that's just the obvious choice for them. And for me, it's like, it makes me wonder if they weren't going through these bankruptcy issues, is Jamie Rivers the obvious choice? Who knows?
You know what's it kind of annoys me is that the whole idea that Darren Pang is going home to Chicago, you know, to do the broadcast because he played there his whole 2 seasons in the NHL.
It was three-ish, 84 to 87.
He played 1 game in 84-85, so
yeah. It counts.
It counts. Okay.
How many games did you play?
That's one more game than I've played.
81 games total, so not even 2 seasons for a goalie. 81 games played. But yeah, so it's like you know, how many years was he here? 12? What was it? I don't even know. 14. But yeah, whatever.
Yep.
Chicago can have him. Take him. Good luck. Pangin in Chicago.
Now, good luck to Jamie Rivers again. I know we've had our beef in the past, but I hope he does a good job. Again, it's like the product on the ice. You know, whenever we talk about players we don't like, what do we always say? We hope we're wrong. We hope we go into this year and player X is unbelievable and we win a cup because of this guy. It's the same way with color commentating, I think. If he can deliver a great product and can help John Kelly deliver the game in a well thought out and meaningful way, we're all happy. So prove us wrong, Jamie Rivers.
Who would have been, Matt Harris asked, who would have been the worst option to replace Panger? I mean, the worst is going to be somebody, you know, a basketball guy that's never watched hockey, right? But
right, but I think he's talking about hockey personalities.
Right, like people that could get the job would be the worst one.
Probably the three of us.
Yeah, people that could get the job.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll stick with my joke, Tyson Nash. Right, that would have been bad.
That's a good one. He's so annoying to me on the Arizona broadcast.
You know who I don't like, and he would never come here. He never played here or anything, but. And this might get some flack from people. I'm not a Jim Fox fan. He kind of annoys me. But
he came here.
That's true. But, you know, with the Kings, I don't know. I think he overanalyzes sometimes, and it just gets annoying. So I'm going to – and not even because he's, like, the worst at his job. I just think it would piss me off. I'll just go with Jim Fox.
You know what? I mean, not to rag on the hometown, but I'm not the biggest Vitale fan, to be honest, on the radio.
I think he's grown into that role pretty well. I think at first I was not a fan. I am now.
Maybe, but to me he just yells a lot, and it's I don't know. It's more yelling than I don't know. It's just kind of not my thing.
Matt Harris says my pick for worst replacement would have been either Jonathan Taves or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, if we're going that far, I'll say Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, he would be worse. He would be worse than TG.
I heard he sought asylum at the Embassy Suites tonight.
As long as it's not the Four Seasons, right?
Yeah, the landscaping.
Yeah, the
right?
landscaping.
Yeah.
That's one of the
Goodness.
oh my god, one of the funniest things in politics ever.
All right. We are going to get into our big reveal for the 2 goaltending spots of the all-time team for the St. Louis Blues. So we will take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will be talking about that. So don't go anywhere and stick around.
We'll return after these messages.
Every beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of RockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting RockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a beer lover's dream for hockey fans. Based in St. Louis, Missouri, owner Steve Albers has been brewing hockey-themed favorites for thirsty sports fans since 2017. From the Beauty IPA to the Old Arena Lager, a cold, frosty, hockey-themed beer is just what the doctor ordered for hockey fans in St. Louis. Make sure to check your local beer store for Center Ice Brewery beer today. LGB. Let's go beer.
During the magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
Hey, getting to the comments. Mary Woodruff Ponder. Hi, guys. Hello, Mom. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show.
Mom.
I'll try and not say fuck or shit too often. Yeah, there's some chatter going on. I love what Ken Morris asks. I don't know what kind of show you think this is, Ken, but he says, when is Austin Lynch going to show us his photos from his Route 66 drive with his dad? Do we want to have a Let's Go Blues Radio, or it's just like an old-timey slideshow of vacation trips? I don't think people want that.
Has to be a different kind of show. Has to be like a hangout, like a round table, just hangout show, like a drive time talk radio show where they just have all kinds of just casual topics.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I think we reserved that for a Discord only show.
Yes, agree. Matt Harris responded to Ken and said, Austin is no longer on the show due to the allegations.
That should be in the opening when he's not on.
Yeah.
Due to the allegations. Oh, instead of on assignment, now it's due to the allegations.
Due to allegations,
Austin Lynch is no longer
Austin Lynch is not on the show today.
That's good.
Oh, okay. Sorry, weird comments. I guess my mom commented to her own comment. And you see that, how it shows up in our chat there? I guess we've never had that happen before. It says replying to, and it's just weird. I don't know. Sorry, restream issues. Yeah, so yeah, he says Austin is no longer on the show to the allegations to specify. Okay, so we are actually, before we get into talking about goalies, I promised last week I completely forgot to do the giveaway that I wanted to do for the second centers, second group of centers that we revealed, which was Adam Oates and Gary Younger. So we're going to open that up here first. We're going to give away this TJ Oshie rally towel. For those who remember that from whatever that playoff series was. I want to say it was Blackhawks, but I could be wrong. So we'll be giving that guy away to our winner. Oh, hang on. There she is. To Carrie on Twitter at Carrie61219. Carrie says he or she, I don't know if that's I'm not sure, says Younger fans don't have a reference point for Unger, but damn was he good, and that flow was incredible. And I did add a photo to kind of show that flow for those of you watching on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Twitters. Yeah, beautiful flow from Gary Younger, something we probably didn't mention enough last week because that should get him on the team alone.
It's funny how every time Gary Unger is brought up, they talk about how great he was, and they have to also mention his flow.
Yep.
His hair was amazing.
It was.
Because the days before helmets. So, you know.
So you saw the flow more.
You saw a lot of hair, and that was in the 70s. So, yeah, a lot of hair was to be had.
We could take that down a very dark path.
I didn't know where I was going with that. Oh, yeah. Well, 70s porn, right?
Anyway, yeah, exactly.
That's why, never mind.
Oh, jeez.
I always like to make the comment during COVID where I was wearing the masks, and the guys that would have the big beards and was wearing a mask, I was like, it looks like 70s porn.
True. I mean, I'll admit, plenty of people look like 70s porn stars because we all just kind of let ourselves go. We just let the hair go. We let the beards go. Yeah, it was very much 70s porn in America in the 2020 year. But Carrie 61219, I will be reaching out to you if you hear this first. Please reach out to us. But yeah, you are the winner of our TJ Oshie rally towel. Who TJ Oshie made this team, which makes total fucking sense.
Good. Good. I was always a bigger. I liked Oshie a lot. I thought.
Do you really think he belongs on the what is this 54th year team?
No. But I like that he's getting the love. So
was it Bill that said if you were a high school girl when he was playing, you definitely voted for TJ Oshie?
Well, you were in danger when he was here.
Yeah,
you were either in danger or lucky.
Yeah. Right.
Depending on your frame of mind.
Right.
True. So we are going to reveal our goalies now. So remember, as a reminder, the 35th year team, the Blues revealed in 2002, Curtis Joseph and Glenn Hall were the two goalies who made that team. And we'll get into talking about a snub eventually that Bill and I got talking. Kurt, I don't know if you agree. That was a bad call because I believe this was just picked by the Blues. I don't think it was voted on by fans. I believe at that point, that's already a bad call by the Blues. Mike Liut should have been on that team ahead of Glenn Hall. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there were some people who were wanting to know, like on Twitter, when are they going to retire Glenn Hall's number, the Blues? And I'm like, when he was here, he was fantastic, but he was here, what was it, 2-3 seasons? I mean,
he wasn't here that long.
I don't care how good you are. You could be one of the best players in the league. But if you're only here for 2 or 3 seasons, you're not getting your number retired ever. You shouldn't. And to be on the all-time list, I don't know. You'd have to do some pretty phenomenal things. And there would have to be a lack of other quality players of that position for you to get it. And the fact that Liut is there and is not there is kind of a crime, because the all-time wins leader, right? So, I mean, and he's been that way for a long time. And Binnington will break it, assuming he doesn't get hurt and plays his contract out here or traded. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I thought that was a snub to start with. So we'll get into talking about Liut maybe on this team, maybe not, but I'm sure we will get into discussion about him in a little bit. First, before we reveal our number one, Mike Teasdale says it is Brent Johnson's time. Not so much. I will say that I do have a note here where I have to mention Brent Johnson later, so stay tuned, Mr. Teasdale. But our first reveal, it is somebody who is on that 35th team. It was the starting goalie. It is Curtis Joseph. He takes number one spot for goalie, voted on by you, the fans, and also, of course, our panel was very involved in that as well. So Curtis Joseph, he's had 2 All-Star games in his career, one as a Blue and one as a Maple Leaf. He led the NHL in save percentage in 1992-93. And that was a .911. He actually repeated that number the next season. And I think the season before that, he was at .910. So just a pillar of consistency in Curtis Joseph.
And for those who might hear the .911 and think, that's not great.
Era.
That was in the high school scoring era when anything over 9 was really good.
Yep.
So,
if you were at like 899, you were still considered to be playing very well in goal. So if you're over 9, that's huge. So he did that 3 years in a row with a bad defense in front of him. So 93-94, he faced the 9th most shots against in one season in NHL history. I want to say it's first in the modern era of what they consider it, because a lot of the other ones were goalies that literally played the entire season, didn't even really have a backup. But that was 2,382. He is also 9th in most saves in NHL history in one season at 2,169 from that season. And then again, that year, 93-94, 911 save percentage and a 3.1 GAA. And again, with the era, 3.1 GAA is actually not terrible. It's pretty good because, again, teams are scoring 5-6 goals a game. So if you're keeping them down to 3, especially that Blues team, you're winning a lot of games, which he did as a St. Louis Blue. His stats for the Blues all time, and again, talking about goaltending now, we've talked on the show many times that goaltending numbers are a little skewed here in St. Louis because we can't seem to hold on to a goalie for more than 3 or 4 years, but it is still impressive, the numbers he put up. Number 3 in games played at 280, number 3 in wins at 137, number 2 in shots against at 8,750, number 2 in saves at 7,940, number 6 in save percentage at a .907, number 3 in minutes at 15,987. Single season numbers that he has in 1993-94, his 36 wins rings second. Shots against, so talking about all the seasons in Blues history, 3 of the top 5 spots in shots against in a season. He has at least 3 of those top 5 spots. Same thing as saves. And then in minutes, he's 2 of the top 5 spots in a single season. So played a lot of minutes, made a lot of saves, and faced a lot of shots. Curtis Joseph, number 1. We'll go to Bill first, our goalie guy. Is this deserving? And what are your thoughts on Curtis Joseph being the number 1 goalie in Blues history, at least for this all-time team selection?
No. Those numbers are super impressive. And damn, he was super, super exciting to watch. Right. And, I give him 1 or 2 more years here without getting, run out of town by Mike Keenan. And I'm all for him being on this list. But, his star rose when he left the team. And, I think it's kind of impossible to separate that from just his time when he was here. He just imagine if he stays here So many things. It's kind of the impossible error to say, well, if he stayed here, how many other people would have stayed here? With Keenan, and the revolving door. But imagine if he's here with a slightly more stout defense, right? What could this team have done? I mean, again, think all those numbers are super impressive, but I think his what he did when he left St. Louis carries more cachet than other people, and I would argue that Binnington ahead of him and Liut ahead of him as well. And I mean that those would be my two picks. Of course, Mike Liut. And so I don't know. Is now a good time for me to do my soapbox?
Yeah, sure. But
and you guys,
before you do that, let me just ask you one question. Do you put Brian Elliott ahead of him as well?
They would be very close, neck and neck. Both Wisconsin Badgers, right? Both guys that had great careers at Wisconsin. I mean, Elliott, he came out of nowhere for this team. Joseph was, when the Blues were able to sign him as a free agent coming out of college, that was a coup. Right. But at that point, he was expected to be the guy, right? He was going to be the future of goaltending for this team. Brian Elliott was signed as, third string goalie, and he comes in and, basically plays Yarrow Halak out of a job. Thank you, Barrett Jackman, for injuring Halak in the playoffs. But yeah, no, I think Elliott probably deserves it a little bit more than him. Given that he was the guy that got us over the Blackhawks hump in the playoffs, right? I just know if Joseph, like when he was here, the fight, the Joseph and Shovel Day, that is an indelible moment in this team's history, and I will never forget where I was at that moment. But all-time team, yeah, I think they're probably those three other guys above him.
I don't even know who I voted for. I forgot, but there are a number of names.
Would you like to know?
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind,
Joseph,
you didn't have
Joseph.
the opportunity to vote for Joseph because
that's right.
he was
That's
already
was.
on the 35th.
He was a shoo-in.
Your two picks were Elliott and Liu.
Okay. Right. And there's 3 or 4 names that are interchangeable, right? And for different reasons. Liut, Binnington, Joseph, Elliott. I think those are top 4 to me. And you could make an argument for any guy. Binnington, the cup run, right? That is like we talked about that last week, right? With O'Reilly. He's got the cup. It's the trump card. It's the mic drop, right? So, Curtis Joseph, probably the most exciting goalie to watch in Blues history, the most fun. So acrobatic, probably the most athletic goalie we've ever had, maybe.
Can we also say, and Bill, you were more than welcome to trump me on this. Best mask design?
Yeah. Out of the
most iconic
painted masks, for sure. I mean, Brian Elliott called back to it, right? It was that iconic. And it was, he went on to have some pretty, everything else. I think it was after he left here was when he took on the Cujo persona, right? When he was here, he was Curtis the Cat. It wasn't Cujo until maybe the very end. But I don't think that showed up on his mask until he was, I don't know, maybe it was that last year he was here.
It was the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah. And then, it definitely took off when he was in Edmonton and Toronto.
I think when he went to Toronto, he was with a better team, probably too.
Yeah.
So that helped as well. But
Toronto gets a little more cachet too.
Yeah, and more press, more you're under the microscope more there.
Yeah.
And then Brian Elliott has got the best numbers goals against average and save percentage and shutouts in Blues history. So I mean, it depends on what you want to focus on. And Liut all-time wins, right? And hard to argue against that too. So it's like it's really what do you want to focus on and what's important to you when you're making this call. I don't know if there's a bad choice for first or second. I chose Elliott and Joseph. Joseph was my favorite goalie of Blues goalie of all time. I just liked him. He was fun to watch. And Elliott, I just remember watching Elliott play and just thinking, holy shit, he came out of nowhere.
Yep.
I like Bennington, and he was just flat out good. And it was annoying to me that we made that, like, okay, so they weren't going to give Elliott the starting job. We made that trade to bring in, I'm drawing a blank.
Which trade?
Goalie, the goalie brought in and lost to the Hawks.
Ryan Miller.
Ryan Miller.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to give Elliott the number one job, and they brought in Miller and shipped out Halak. I would have been I said at the time, I'm like, I'd rather have Elliott as the guy with Halak backing him up than to make that trade for Miller. If you're going to make a move with goaltending, just make Elliott the number one guy. That's what I would have preferred to see them do. But whatever. So I just remember going to bat for Elliott a lot during that era, and then the numbers backed up where I was. So I was like, So
the way that it totally unfolded with him after we got knocked out by the Sharks, right? And he went to Armstrong and said, "I want to be the number one guy," and Armstrong wouldn't guarantee it. So
right,
he Denny Lemieux him, trade me right fucking now, or
yeah. And
I think it was more a mutual thing at that point, but
and
terrible way to see him go out. We were so close against San Jose.
I agree.
Yep.
And then the pick we got for him, we picked Kyrou. So got a really hopefully a really, really good player in the future. So I mean, hopefully he doesn't flake out, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he figures it out.
He needs to figure it out. He needs to figure it out. Play more of a complete game. Or rack up 100 points. If you're not going to play defense, you better be scoring 100 points.
Yep, I agree with that. Well, back to Joseph. I just want to say that for me, we talked about the color commentator discussion earlier, that for me, like my earliest memories watching Blues hockey, Joe Micheletti and Ken Wilson were on the mic. Same for me with Curtis Joseph. That's the first goalie that I really remember watching and just being like, okay, this guy is like, this isn't just any run-of-the-mill goalie. This guy is fucking good. And my sister was obsessed. She had like 3 Cujo posters in her room. She bought a Cujo jersey. She made me get one too. And so we used to wear them when we go to the games together. Like Cujo is a big deal in our house. And so, when he was let go, you mentioned earlier, Kurt, if he just would have had some defense in front of him, how much better would he have been? Imagine if Keenan wouldn't have run him out of town and we got the McInnes Pronger, even though, yes, it was a young Pronger. And I'm not saying Curtis or Grant Fuhr wasn't great with that team in his early years with the Blues, but imagine that improved defense with Curtis Joseph back there making acrobatic save after acrobatic save. And again, you mentioned it, Bill. He became more well-known in the NHL as a great goalie once he left here, went to Edmonton, went to Toronto. So who's to say that if he wouldn't have stayed here, that still wouldn't have happened? And it would have been, okay, Cujo saved their asses for years. Now he's actually got a defense in front of him. Let's see what he can do in St. Louis. And unfortunately, we just never got to see that play out.
Would you rather have had Joseph over Fuhr for that run against the Red Wings?
Well, it doesn't fucking matter because Nick Kyprios would have just killed him.
I know, but Fuhr was so good, right?
I was going to say I would rather have Curtis Joseph over John Casey. No offense to John Casey. He had a really good run.
He did. He fought, man. He battled.
God,
he did. He played well. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call because, like you guys said, Fuhr that year he he had a resurgence. He was ridiculous that year.
His best goals against average and save percentage of his career were here.
Right.
Eras, behind a really good defense.
So. Yes, and eras matter. Clearly,
sure.
He was playing in an era in Edmonton where it was just run and gun all
and their
the time.
their style was, let's go score a goal, and he's back there to stop everything else, right? So,
yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to say which one they have. I mean, I'm going to say Grant Fuhr just because I saw it and I know how good he was, and I really do believe if he doesn't get hurt, I think the Blues win the Cup that year. So I'll say Grant Fuhr, but who knows? Maybe in that situation when that's happening, maybe Joseph Laig is in a different spot. Maybe he doesn't get hurt by Kyprios. So who knows? But I will say that just the thought, and I remember that year with that defense, and then they went out and got Gretzky, and even with Fuhr playing so well, I remember having that conversation in my house, in my living room with my family. Like, what if Curtis Joseph was still here? How different would this team look? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Would it be the same? And so that question came up every year. When the Blues won the President's Trophy, what if Grant Fuhr was the goalie back there and not Roman Turek? What if they go to the playoffs against San Jose and he just shuts them down? We'll never know because Joseph got ran out of town way too early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned the fight, Bill. That's just, it's so funny. And for anybody who listened to the Behind Enemy Lines series I did the year after the Blues won the Cup, when we did the Philadelphia episode with the Snow the Goalie podcast, the guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but there was two hosts we had on. One was named Anthony. The other guy is a younger guy. We talked about how a memorable moment for Blues fans, and even us as the four of us or the three of us being kind of even younger than the generation that saw it, the fight of the Plaguers going into the stands and fighting the Flyers fans. And he started laughing and he's like, why is that such a cherished memory for Blues fans? That's crazy. You guys are nuts. And I'm just like, anyone who's over the age of 30 remembers how awesome it was to see these not the staged fights. I'm talking real fights. And you'd see that stuff and it stuck with you. And for us, I know we will be in our 70s and we'll still be talking about the Curtis Joseph, Tim Shovelday fight. That's one of the greatest moments for me as a Blues fan. I remember just jumping up and down in my living room oh my God, this is insane. And to see that and for fans that were there and witnessed it live, that's just an incredible moment. Curtis Joseph will always be cemented in Blues lore for many reasons, but that one alone stands out to Blues fans. So our next reveal, talking about fights and feisty, our number 2 pick, it is not Glenn Hall, it's not Mike Liut, it's not Brian Elliott, it is Jordan Binnington, current Blues goaltender. Is he? I'll have to check. Is he the only current Blue that made this team? I think so. Yeah, he is the only current Blue to make this team. So I don't know why that just dawned on me. It should have dawned on me before we started talking. But he is a Stanley Cup champion. He is an All-Star in 2020. Best season as a Blue. No surprise to anyone here. 2018-19, 32 games played, 24-5-1, 927 save percentage, 1.89 GAA, which led the league, by the way, and 5 shutouts. He finished second in Calder Trophy voting for Rookie of the Year. I think the three of us, are we in agreement? I think he should have gotten it, personally.
He should have won. I think he should have won. Yeah.
Yeah.
The numbers alone warrant yes, but also if you look at how he put the team on his back and helped, was a major reason this team did a complete turnaround, and went on that crazy run. And I know you're not supposed to figure in playoff performances, but and going the distance and winning the Cup, holy fuck, yes, he was the best rookie that season, without question.
Well,
anybody that says he wasn't is he hasn't played enough games.
It was a tale of 2 seasons too, because Pettersson was the one that won that year,
right. And he had a
broke
second
out.
half.
Yeah, he broke out that first half and was incredible, and it was hands down, no one's even going to challenge this guy for the Calder. Then he cooled off dramatically. And it was like, so when people were like, well, Binnington didn't even play the full year. And it's like, Pettersson really didn't either. he didn't do much that second half. Like, there was games where I'm sure the coach was like, damn, I want to sit this kid because he wasn't doing anything that second half. So I'll stand by. I think Binnington should have won just because it's the goaltending position. Come on. I mean, Bill,
the most important position.
Speak to it better than anyone. Most important position in hockey.
Yeah.
Pettersson had, like you said, an amazing first half, but he got figured out, right? And he also, probably wasn't ready for the rigors of a full 82 game NHL season. I mean, that's a slight frame he's got there, and Binnington, the timing was better in Binnington's favor coming in the second half of the year, but that run, right? That is what you want to award, those kinds of things, right? He is the guy that came in, took team dead last, took them to the Stanley Cup. Again, that playoffs aren't supposed to matter. In this case, I think you have to make it matter. And it was completely wrong. But for this exercise we're doing here this offseason, it completely matters and we get to award it.
Yes.
And for all of those exact same reasons, he deserves to be on this all-time team.
Yep. Let's go through some quick Blues stats for him. And remember, these are all in counting. These will continue into this season. So he's number 5 in games played at 223, number 4 in wins at 117. So actually the next person he has to catch there is Curtis Joseph. So if he gets 20 wins this year, he will tie him, which I believe he will. Number 4 in shots against at 6,402. Number 4 in saves at 5,802. Number 10 in save percentage at a .906. He's tied for 6th in shutouts with 12 with the aforementioned Brent Johnson. Number 5 in minutes at 12,946. He holds a lot of great distinctions in a single season. And remember, a lot of these are 2018-19, but some of them do come from other years. So he is tied for 9th for wins in a season at 30. Shots against, he is at 10th for 1,826 in 2022-23. So yes, this last year, as much as Thomas Greiss and Joel Hofer played, that is the 10th most shots against a goalie has faced in Blues history. That goes to tell you how bad that defense was. Save percentage, he is 7th in his single season in 2018-19 with a .927. GAA 1.89 in 18-19. That is a second best single season by a Blues goalie. And shutouts, he is tied for 10th. 2018-19, he had 5. And again, I think in shutouts, we're going to see those numbers climb, hopefully. We already kind of talked about it here a little bit. Jordan Binnington right now, and yes, call me an apologist if you will. I don't feel like there's anything I should be fucking apologizing for. I think Binnington, hands down, when it's all said and done, as long as the Blues continue to improve after this year and move on, and I think he can lead this team to another Stanley Cup. I think all the advanced statistics, and again, if you listen to the show, you know what we think about advanced statistics. They're great, but man, with goaltending especially, I don't think they really paint a full picture. So I think it's totally unfair when the Wyshynskis of the world are like, well, but his advanced stats are terrible. Well, he's facing 15 backdoor chances a game. So let's take that into account.
Advanced stats take it into account, Jeff. They take it into account. They take everything into account.
Everything. There is still, the thing that people don't understand about advanced stats, and I know you guys, I think, Kurt, you even said this on the show, there is still a person who is awarding points for each shot taken. So like there is still it's not all computer generated. There is still a person that has to determine a high danger or low danger chance. And to me, a lot of those decisions are flawed because they're a lot of times I think they're just looking at the position on the ice the player's at, not anything that happened before it, like a stick breaking, Parayko turning it over in front, something like that. They're not always taking that into account. So I think it's totally unfair to base anything on goaltending on alone advanced stats.
One of the problems I have, the big problems I have with advanced stats you touched on one of them, but also the advanced stats take into account shot history. So they've compiled years of data as far as, this shot in this situation from this spot on the ice was stopped, this percent of the time. And so if your goalie allows that goal to go in, then if most of the time that shot is stopped, then that's a mark against that goalie, right? And it hurts their advanced stats. And my argument is there's not a single goddamn situation. There's no shot history. Every single shot is different. There's something different about every single shot. You can't say, well, that exact same shot was stopped by, whoever, last week. And so, Bennington should have stopped it this week, or 85% of those shots from that area are stopped by goalies. So Bennington should have had it. And I'm like, did it take into account all kinds of little intricacies that go into each play? No, it doesn't. And it takes into account shot type. It takes into account shot location. And I think it even takes into account defensive positioning, but it doesn't take into account how much of a screen there was, or or whatever, or if a goalie just made the save, a great save a second before, just hopped up, and then it went in because he was still recovering from the previous save. There's all kinds of little, and Bill can attest, everything's different. Every shot is a little different. Sure, there are similar shots, but everything is different. So, and shot history plays such a big role in advanced stats, saying, well, you should have had that because stats say that goalie should make that save. What? Watch this particular instance and how the players are set up, how they're positioned, what's going on, and just common sense. If you're well versed in hockey and you've studied the game for a long time, you could say, okay, well, yeah, maybe he should have had that one based on what I'm seeing in front of me, not based on numbers on a paper.
So, what I would love, and I think this, if I was still doing reporting and media stuff, this is something I would actually do, because this idea just popped in my head. So if anyone, Mike Meyer, whoever's listening, who maybe has the time and is like, I'm reporting, I'm going to do this. Find out, like Kurt just said, shot history. Find some shots that are considered to be the same. So, 2 weeks ago, Vasilevsky made this save, but then one shot was taken on Brian Elliott, let's just say, his backup, and he doesn't make the save. Let's do a video comparison of shot history of what is considered similar shots. Let's just see how similar the situations actually are before we say, well, yeah, that's the kind of save a goalie should make, because in shot history, it shows they normally make that save. But it's like you said, not every situation is the same. So let's see a side-by-side comparison of these shots that are apparently the exact same thing.
And the type of shooter. Is he a goal? How good of a goal scorer is he? Is he what level sniper is he? Is an A+ sniper or just a B+ sniper? Or how much whip did he get on his stick? Did he get all the wrist shot or 80% of the wrist shot? It's just like, just because it's from a spot and it's a kind of shot, that's not shot history. There's every single shot's different. Every single one.
Well,
let me come
anyway,
my dogs were busy talking, so sorry. No, there are a lot of variables, like you said, that play into everything, and everything's different. I mean, how many shots in a season are taken when, after a player has broken a stick and gets the wrong stick off the bench, right? That's going to play a major factor into that shot. But, I think the advanced stats crowd, is going to say, well, over the course of the season, you can compare all of those because it normalizes with a larger population over the course, as you have more and more data, right? Yeah, but it's still that, there's so much more to the game, right? Stats should be complementary. They should not be primary. And I think way too many people take that.
That's good.
Well, so, Bill's our wordsmith on the show.
Anybody who's played hockey knows that there's no identical situation where everything's exactly the same. There's no shot. I mean, yeah, like you said, Bill, there is data they can compile, and you can get similar situations, but nothing is exactly the same. So it's just, and a lot of things they would never even know. Like I said, like if somebody gets a one timer, they don't quite get all of it, right? They get like 80% of the slap shot, as opposed to another guy who gets 90% of it, and it happens to go in. Is that factor
Matt
in?
Harris,
No, it doesn't.
Matt Harris says, I think we can all agree all goalies are bad. There's not a single good one. I think Kurt and I will agree with you.
Yes, right. Well, when they're facing our shots, they are.
That's right. That's right. No, I back to just Binnington in general. Again, we've sung his praises on this show. Does he have bad games, bad weeks?
Sure.
Hell yes. There was a stretch last season. I called him out on it. He had a stretch against, it was on the road. I remember Pittsburgh and New York. Rangers were two teams he played, and I thought he was awful. So yes, he's had his stretches.
He was awful 2 seasons ago for most of the season.
Yeah, when took over.
Right, it was the playoffs, right, when he redeemed himself.
Late in the season, the last half dozen starts, he was better.
Yep.
You could tell he was coming around, and then playoffs, he was like on.
Yep. So yeah, I think overall his body of work speaks for itself. Now again, we're always going to hear, as long as he's a starter, even if he turns into a backup here in St. Louis, we're always going to hear, well, he's declined since 18-19. And we've said on this show how many times we all knew he would. There was no, again,
when you start at the peak, where do you have to go?
Right. And if he continued that stretch, again, so in 18-19, 32 games played, 24-5-1, 927 save percentage, 189 GAA, 5 shutouts. He continues that the rest of his career. At this point, heading into the 23-24 season, he's already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like he would be that good.
I'm gonna guess no one's
Vasilevsky.
No one's done that since no one's done that in 50 years. Put like 5 straight under 2 GAA seasons together. No one's done that since the Sawchuck era. I'm gonna guess, right? I don't know. I'm guessing
the dead puck era.
The dead puck era.
Dead puck era. There, I'm sure Hasek and
60
Waugh came close.
Not below 2. Hasek had some, but not that many in a row below 2. No way.
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably right at 2.
Probably be the guy that would be the closest to it, though.
Hasek,
yeah. He had some insane years in Buffalo.
Yep.
But no, I think yes, he has declined since his first year, and that was totally to be expected. People forget, and well, it's funny I say people forget. I remember getting in arguments with hockey teammates that next year, 1920. Was he the best goalie in the league? No. But I think he was still very good.
I think he was good. He was good enough to win. Sure.
I remember people. There was a guy on a hockey team I was playing on, or playing the team anymore. But I remember him just being like, "Well, we need him to play better because man, he was not as good last year." And I'm just like, he was fucking great, dude. He was exactly what this team needed. If he can find that form again, I'm not saying he's been awful, completely awful since then. He's just been a little bit more streaky. If he can kind of regain that form, and a part of that is an improved defense, I think we are going to see a better Jordan Binnington this season, personally. I think, yes, defense is pretty much the same, with the exception of a couple guys like Perunovic and Tucker coming in a little bit more full-time, but with a better defensive coach, and I haven't even seen him coach a game yet, and I think Mike Weber is already a better defensive coach. I think we will see a better season out of Jordan Binnington. Is he still going to have his naysayers? Hell yes, because he's a fiery guy, and for whatever reason, fiery is not cool in the NHL anymore. But I do think we're going to see a better year this year out of Binnington.
It's a bunch of whiny Avalanche fans that have a problem with him.
Wild fans too, man.
Yeah.
Whew. I got in some heated debates with Wild fans about it, which I thought was so funny because they were saying stuff like, yeah, enjoy missing the playoffs. And I'm like, we've won a cup. Enjoy losing out in the first round again, which is what happened.
People will rip on that season after the cup and say he wasn't very good, but they're remembering the bubble.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't as good as the season before, but like I said, you're not going to repeat that. But he was good. He was good. He was good enough to win easily that team. But the bubble, something happened in the bubble, and the team just went to shit, including Bennington. So that's an exception, I think.
Yeah, Bowmeister goes down before the bubble.
Yeah,
you get to the bubble, and how many people had been afflicted with COVID and just weren't there?
Yep.
I mean, David Perron already had it 3 times at that point. So
right.
That's true.
That's a good point, Ken. Bennington's married now, and he will either be mellow or more angry. Marriage can do weird things for a player.
Right. And that's, kind of like, for a different show maybe, but, we kind of have to wait to see what happens with Robert Thomas and Jordan Cairo. Do they get to that point, right? Do they get to that next summer they get married kind of thing, and now they're going to settle down and take it more seriously. I think Bennington, he's shown signs of maturing over the last 2 years, and that is an excellent point. With him having gotten married and is maybe starting to settle into life as an adult.
And the next step is when players have kids, right? That will change a player too.
Yep.
So
I will say, I do feel like, and we should have gotten it last year. Shame on the refs and the linesmen. I do feel like he gets one fight under his belt, he calms down.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he wants that one fight, and God, we should have gotten it last year.
Yeah. The whole hockey world wanted to see it. Let him go. You let him go.
It's just because in the whole hockey world wanted to see it because right outside of St. Louis, at least Blues fans, it was shut that motherfucker up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let people get that, or let the Blues fans get what they want and say, see, he's not a giant pansy. He's actually wanting to fight, which I think Blues fans are justified in saying that now, even because he was going to go.
He fought in the minors. I mean,
there was still Wild fans giving me shit that night that were like, "Oh no, he clung on to the linesman."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
shut the fuck up.
Watch the play, dude. That is not at all what happened. He was trying to get at Fleury. They wouldn't let him. And if they don't a linesman, you're getting a 10-game suspension.
If the officials don't get in the way, they go. That was no question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Biggest travesty of last season.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It would have been. I think if it just would have been like comforting for Blues fans to like finally see some of that frustration get out. It would have been so nice.
Yeah.
Panelist votes. So again, Joseph and Glenn Hall were off the table. I voted for Jordan Binnington and Brian Elliott. Kurt, we mentioned earlier, Elliott and Liut. Austin never registered his votes, so he didn't vote for anyone. Bill voted for Jordan Binnington and Mike Liut. So we all kind of voted for the same people, but I do want to say, and again, I said this earlier, I think without Glenn Hall on that 35th team, I think Mike Liut is easily in this conversation. I would have loved to have seen how that vote would have gone with Liut involved because he was just outside of the top 4.
Okay. Do you have the numbers? If Bill hadn't have voted for Bennington, does Liut get in there? Did his vote make a difference?
That is a great question. Let me look. Bill, why don't you go ahead and show us what you want to show us?
Yeah, so I am going to shame all of you. This guy right here.
That's badass.
Sebastian Chavoti. Cool Ace Images. I have a whole bunch of these that are going up on that wall. Different goalies, different eras, but yeah. Mike Liut is the reason why I became a goalie, and now this is the part that's going to get you. You see this? You're breaking this kid's heart. Right? This is 5-year-old me.
Look at that snow on the pads.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yeah.
We didn't just take pictures. We practiced and took pictures.
Nice.
Right. But you can't really see it all that well. But the top smudges up here, it's Mike Liut's autograph.
Very
nice.
Nice.
His autograph in Philadelphia, 1982. Had breakfast with him and Rick Hines, and they both signed that. So
that's cool.
Yeah, you're all of you that didn't vote for Liute and didn't promote him and didn't love him. You broke my heart tonight.
So if Bill does not vote for Bennington, Bennington does still beat out Liute with 1 vote. So, but
Thank
I
you,
will
because
say,
that would have been killer to me.
if one of us didn't vote for Elliott, Kurt, then Liute probably would have beat out Elliott.
I voted for Liute, no, Elliott, though.
But yeah. I think my vote for Elliott is probably what did it then.
You didn't vote for Liute, though.
Oh,
I did not. I voted for Bennington and Elliott. Sorry, Bill. Well, Bill is wearing his Brian Elliott jersey tonight, so
it's okay.
Yeah, I love Brian Elliott as well. And I will say that was probably, for my votes, that might have been the hardest one for me, because I did sit there, like, I wrote down Bennington. I remember writing down Bennington and Elliott, and then I sat back and I kind of sat back. Wait a minute. And I thought about it for a couple minutes, and I looked up the stats, and I'm like, Liute, and it just went back and forth, and I finally just was like, you know what, go with your gut, go with Elliott. But yeah, it was close for me. So I might have been the reason Liute didn't make it, Bill.
Was Hall ever a consideration for you guys to be in the top 2?
No, it just never got to see him play. Those early teams, he was the reason, right? But he also had Jacques Plante as his tandem partner. I think for me, the title Liute was not something that I could ever overcome, right? Like I said, he really was the reason why I chose to be a goalie. And why, when I got to go see him play, late 1979, I think, was my first game. Pretty sure he was in goal. Might have been Hines, might have been Stanowski, but whenever I was whenever by the time I was in organized hockey long enough that they would allow me to say I wanted to be goalie, it was because of Mike Liute, right? I want to be Mike Liute. That's my guy. And it's.
I think if I was around and I saw Hall, if I was older and I saw Hall play, maybe he'd get consideration for me. But the fact that the double whammy, he was before my time, and he didn't play here very long, so that was a double. I was like, with Oates, I voted, I wanted Oates in, but he didn't play here very long. But I saw him play. Yeah. So there's a difference.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, the panel, why we didn't go down because usually we go down the rankings the panel had for the goalies. I didn't have them do that this time with goalies because there was only 4, and that all fit in one poll. For Twitter polls, you can only have 4 options. So I thought, well, kind of unnecessary to do that. What would that even mean? So I didn't have them do that. But I will say that if I did rank them, I probably put Liute at 3. I do think, and I know others might not disagree, I go back and forth depending on what day you ask me. I do think I end up with Joseph Bennington as 1 and 2. Maybe it's Bennington Joseph one day, maybe the other it flip-flops. I don't know. But I think stronghold number 3, if I were ranking them, would probably be Liute, even though I didn't vote for him. But overall, just because, again, I didn't really see him play either. That was slightly before my time. So that's kind of factors in for me. But, man, when it comes to the stats, what I've heard from other people, Bill included, Mike Liute was a hell of a Blues goalie. So it was odd to not even have him in the vote to be here.
It was hard for me not to vote for Joseph. Joseph's like I said, my favorite goalie. I didn't vote for him. That was tough. I mean, it was a tough one. This was hard. There were votes for Jake Allen.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and mention that. Other players considered here, we have Glenn Hall, obviously, Brian Elliott, Jake Allen, Grant Fuhr, and Mike Liute all got votes. Would you like to know who voted for who?
And is this an order of votes? Allen got more than Fuhr?
Yes. Jake Allen had 1 more vote than Grant Fuhr.
All right.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd love that.
You know what, panel? I'm going to do it. I'm going to say who voted for Jake. So who voted for Grant Fuhr? We'll do that first. Vanessa Graff, and Jason Martin voted for Grant Fuhr. For Jake Allen, Vanessa Graff, Lou Korak, and Dr. Nighthawk all voted for Jake Allen.
Really?
Dr. Nighthawk,
Just
I
'cause
know,
longevity?
is an Allen fan, and she is not a Bennington fan, so that probably factors in a lot.
Okay.
She's an Avalanche fan. She can't be a Bennington fan.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Allen has longevity, and I think as a byproduct of longevity is wins. But other than that, he doesn't have anything.
He was so predictable. Every year he would just not be good for, really
Till
important stretches of the season.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It was like January to March. He just
One of my favorite
forgot
quotes
how
from
to
this
goalie.
show. One of my favorite quotes from the show. He had it in the open for a long time when Allen was still here. Was Bill Day saying, "Yeah, Blues are going to be fine until January and February when Allen forgets how to goalie." And it was clockwork every year.
So Allen
But-
got more votes than Liut?
No, Allen
that's
had
not-
3
that's
votes.
Pure.
Allen had 3 votes. Liut had 4.
Okay. That's
The way the votes
That's
worked, and
too
again,
close.
keeping in mind this does not include Joseph and Hall. So
Yeah.
Bennington had 6 votes. Elliott had 5. Liut had 4. Allen had 3. Fior had 2. And this is strictly for the panel. That is not the Twitter votes. So
Man,
Grant Fior did get votes, but he only got 2.
this panel needs to have a huge roundtable show, so we
Yeah.
can
I would love to
we can
have done
hash
that.
this stuff out. That'd be great. Like, why'd you put Allen on there? Well, this. And I'd be like, oh, okay. But man, I'd love to hear their argument because I don't know. I mean, like I said, he's got longevity, which he accumulated a lot of wins because of his time here, but he was not great. I mean, he had a great run in the playoffs against Minnesota. That was his best playoff series. But I mean, and
It
he
was
had
also Magnus Pay Arby's.
yes, it was, and he had some nice stretches and during the season, like any goalie. He's a talented guy, but of all the guys on the list, you're gonna choose Allen? Really?
I'm going to run through a very quick list here, just looking at Blues leaders all time in goal of certain stats. Who would I rather have on this team than Jake Allen? Let's play that game. So we'll go.
Jake Allen's like
we'll go
12 for me.
Yeah, well, we've got obviously Bennington and Joseph, who made the team. Basically, everyone that got a vote here. So Liut, Hall, give me Jacques Plante, even though he was here a very short time.
Mhm.
I'll take again.
Give
Fjord.
me Manny Legacy over Allen.
Give me Manny Legacy. I agree.
Look at Bill.
Mm.
He's like, I don't know. Oh,
Give me
Osgood. Give me Osgood before Allen.
ooh.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Give
Yes.
a name we haven't mentioned. Friend of the show, Greg Millen. Give me him.
Oh yeah. Wamsley. Give me Wamsley over.
Give me Rick Wamsley. Give me Yaroslav Halak.
Mhm.
Give me Halak all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I take all those guys over Jake Allen. Sorry. I've always said I don't hate Jake Allen. He did not work here. And I think
No.
the problem was, and it was like Eric Brewer, right? Like it was not only did he not work here, he just kept getting shoved down our throats. And it's just stop it. He's not a starting goalie, at least for the Blues. Maybe somewhere else. Not here. He's not the guy. Stop it. And what
Right.
happens the year they finally fully replace him? They win the fucking cup.
With Jake Allen, right? He never made it to what the Blues wanted him to be. But during the 2019 run to the Stanley Cup, he was exactly what this team needed to be, right? He was, he was the guy that played the perfect role for Bennington, and without him, I don't think Bennington's got the right mentality. But certainly as a starter, from what he did as the guy that was given the most opportunity to be the number one, but could never run with it. Yeah, he was so disappointing. and there's so many more people above him. I don't think I put Wamsley above him. I think that's a little harsh.
What Riendo?
That's a little harsh too.
Guy Hebert.
So another personal connection. I've got his pads hanging up in my garage right now. So no.
Why are they not hanging up behind you?
Oh, you wouldn't put Hebert in front of Allen? I would.
No, he wasn't here long enough.
I don't care.
Yeah,
he was a better goalie. He was a better goalie with us than Allen was.
Yeah.
Let me look
he
it
was
up.
here, what, a season and a half?
2.5, I thought.
2 years.
Yeah, and then it was between him and Joseph who the Blues would protect, and the Ducks took Gee.
And he had some great years with Anaheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2 seasons, 13 and 13 wins and losses. He was good. Yeah, okay. That's not a lot of time here.
No,
but still,
I would argue a couple. You said Chris Osgood. I don't think he was here long enough. I think if he stays, I would have been fine with that.
He was 35 and 28.
Yeah,
I thought he was okay. He was better than Brett Johnson. Sorry, Mike Teasdale.
He may have been, but he also wasn't, enough to get the Blues over the flu in 2003.
Oh,
right.
God.
So.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was just one of those that just bled into that Blues lore, right? Like the one year this team could probably have gone all the way. Everybody gets the damn flu in the first round, and they lose a 3-1 series lead. Unbelievable. Speaking of goaltenders, I don't know what show it is, but I know Mike Rupp is on it. It's a video cast. They had Chris Pronger on. Did you guys see that interview by chance? It was very recent. He talked about how Roman Turek, and this is a direct quote, he said, Roman Turek loved his beer. And he talked about how in 2001, he pretty much drank every single night. He didn't say to what extent, but as a professional hockey player, drinking all the time, that's not great. Apparently, he faults a lot of Turek's issues against Colorado. The fact that they had an 8-day break, and I guess Turek, after they beat the Stars, he told his teammates, I'm not going to drink this whole break until we play. I'm not drinking, which apparently he never did. And so he takes this break where he's not doing his normal shit. And then he comes back against Colorado and just looks awful. And Pronger even broke down plays where it was like he would lay his stick down and it would be up in an angle. It's like, what are you doing? And it's like his normal habits were just gone because he wasn't drinking beer, which is just kind of hilarious.
Drinking beer and listening to Iron Maiden.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Well, so our two goalies, Curtis Joseph and Jordan Binnington, are your two goalies. Before we get into talking about what's up next, guys, any closing thoughts on our goalies selected for the all-time team?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's there's 4 guys that are interchangeable to me. It's tough. It all depends on what you value, what's important to you in an all-time greatest player. Which there's no rules. It's just everyone has their own checklist. What players check the boxes for you to vote for them. So, it was interesting. I mean, this is probably the toughest one for me personally to choose. Not that we have an amazing run of goalies to choose from that put in the time enough to be qualified to do this, but there were 4 for me. There were 4 guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I could choose any 2 and not be criticized too heavily. So
I feel like with a lot of teams, it's clear cut. It is these 2 guys. I don't think it's that for the Blues at all. I feel like we could run this poll next week with Liut interchanged and maybe even I don't know, Grant Fuhr instead of someone else, and we get a completely different result.
There are a lot of people listening that will listen to this podcast, and they'll be yelling at their phones or their computers, and they'll be like, when we're comparing goalies that are we'd rather have over Allen or in the top 4 or whatever, and they're just because everyone's got an opinion on goalies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're that's a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, everyone's a goalie expert. If you look at social media, everyone is.
Right.
Yep. Not Bill, though. Bill's the only one that's not.
No,
I think
that dude doesn't know dick.
I think on this show we've discussed goaltending at length every week. And when Alan was here, I mean, I just remember so many conversations about how he just wasn't getting the job done. And it's just, his record is 100. What is it? How many wins? 149 or whatever it is. It's up there. It's quite. And his
148 wins.
Yeah, his win-loss record's good. It's just, but he was here forever.
Yeah, so he was given every opportunity to be number one.
Yeah.
Yep. With the Blues, he was 148, 94, and 26.
Yeah.
Which is a great record. But, how many games were won 6-5? Because Jake would give up 2 or 3 bad goals at the end of the second or start of the third.
I think that was the thing for him, is that it was infrequent that he turned in a great game. It was always like good enough to get the job done with the offense that we were able to put up on the board. And so I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling stuff out of my ass now, but we talked about him for so long and about how we want to move on from him, and that's where I'm at with him.
That's the beauty of having a podcast, is you can literally go back and listen to those episodes and hear us talk about how done we all were with Jake Allen. I mean, how many episodes did we even title? Like, Jake Allen does it again, or it's January, which means Jake isn't a Blue, Jake's not on the ice, whatever it is. Like, that was the discussion for so long.
And maybe that's unfair of me, because that makes me biased against him. So maybe it's a little unfair, but that's where I am.
But it was the truth. And again, I have nothing. Bill said it really well. He was perfect for the cup run. He did exactly what a backup should do. But I mean,
I asked Mike McKenna about that, actually, about how, because a lot of people were saying about how he would imitate the other goalie, right? And so the Blues could practice on that style goalie in practice. And I had heard that some people will say, well, that's what every backup goalie does for a team, but they're making a big deal about it with Jake Allen. I asked Mike McKenna, and he was like, not the way Jake Allen was doing it. He was like, he excelled at it. It was just like something that he did better than he had ever seen a goalie do before. It was impressive to him how he was doing it. So, okay. That makes sense.
So he's very good at charades, is what you're telling me.
I think he's going to be a great goalie coach if he that's what he wants to do. With his career over, I think he should get every opportunity, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was either here or Montreal that he got that shot. When he went to Montreal, he became beloved in that town as at best a 1B goalie. And that's hard to do in that market, but he's from there. His family's there. If he, once he left St. Louis, I was happy that he got to go to Montreal and got to experience that. But yeah, I think he'll be an insanely good goalie coach in the future.
All right. Well, up now on our Twitter poll is the utility vote. So again, we mentioned last week that all the positions have been filled. So we are officially getting the 3 utility spots that would fill out a normal 21-man NHL roster. 21. Is that right? Yeah, 21. So in that utility vote, so basically it's the top 3 players in this. So only one player is not going to be included. In the top 3, those 3 will make it. The last player will not. In that vote right now, it is Barrett Jackman, Brendan Shanahan, Alexander Steen, and Pierre Turgeon. And what's next? None. We're all done. This is the last vote, folks. So that is up until Sunday. So if there's a player in there, Jackman, Shanahan, Steen, Turgeon, you think should be on this team, get on our Twitter page. It is the pinned post. Get on there and make your vote today.
Last I checked, who's winning that poll?
I believe it's Steen.
Yeah. I'm okay
with that.
I'm gonna over Shanahan. I'm gonna protest this show the upcoming show if Steen beats out Shanahan. I'm not coming on.
Bill, I don't have a problem with him beating out Shanahan. I think they both should be on the team. But Steen's longevity with this team and what he meant to even a cup team, I think that plays in a lot.
No, I get it. But, I mean, Shanahan is one of the best players of all time. He's a 600 goal scorer in the NHL. He scored 50 goals with us. He became an elite player with us. I mean,
I think it depends on how you look at it.
I think it's recency bias. I think it's the only reason the Steens.
That's possible, but I think part of it too is that people are looking at Shanahan's time as a Blue, which was great, but he wasn't here that long.
He was here 4 seasons?
4 years, but Steen was here 11?
Yeah, still. I mean, Jackman was
Steen
here.
was a Blue. He was
Jackman
here a long time.
Well, if he was here a long time, he should be.
Yeah, but Jackman sucked. Sorry. Jackman was not. I was not a fan of Barrett Jackman.
He was fine. He was fine. He had shoulder issues.
I know, but I'm sorry. You shouldn't be in the everyday lineup if you're going to complain about it. Well, not him, but the coaching staff says, "Oh, well, he's playing injured." Well, then don't fucking play him because he's not effective.
Well, I don't think he'd play at all because it was like his shoulder wasn't going to get any better. I have heard from a reliable source that Barrett Jackman's legs are almost as nice as mine.
Whoa. We'll have to test that theory out sometime. So that vote is going out right now. You are so proud of your legs. It's ridiculous. So that vote is up right now.
I did win a contest, goddammit.
I was actually told by my high school team and actually in college too that I had the best legs and ass on my team. I didn't agree because I think I got a bubble butt, but apparently that was in at the time.
Hey, well, go on a cruise. You might win a contest like I did.
Maybe I will. I got to shave my legs first. They're pretty hairy.
And you could go swimming too. It's like when you shave your body, you dive into the water. It's like you just slide right in. There's no friction.
Make sure you comment why you voted the way you did or why you didn't vote for someone on that Twitter page, on that Twitter poll. And you could have your comment featured on the show, and you could even win a prize like...
It's probably how a seal feels swimming through the water.
Like this bad boy right here. I'm not going to put it on. I don't want to taint it. But this beautiful St. Louis Blues pink knitted hat. Perfect for the Pink at the Rink nights. So this is our next giveaway. This was a giveaway last year. I think it might have been the Pink at the Rink giveaway. This is a beautiful, very comfortable knitted hat for the lady in your life, or maybe you're a dude who's comfortable wearing pink like me.
Is it a light salmon color?
I wear light salmon too.
A light salmon color?
That's from something.
Friends.
It's Friends.
When Ross Ross loses his pink shirt and he calls it a light salmon color.
It's light salmon. Yeah.
I don't want to wear a lady's shirt.
Well, guys, I think that'll do it for this episode. Any closing thoughts from the and by the way, I think this is the first time this summer that the three of us have been on together. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No, it means the season's getting close. That's the way I see
it.
Yeah.
That's right. We're wanting to knock the rust off a little bit.
Preseason games. Yeah. Spring training.
Yeah. We can consider this our spring training. I like it. Well, all right. Well, that'll do it, folks. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That will wrap up episode 15 of season 12 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. for Bill Day and, I said the absent Kirk Price. You are here for Bill Day. Hey, you weren't here at the start, okay? Back off.
I was not. I'm here now.
You were out because of allegations, right?
Yeah, I was due to the allegations. I was
due to the allegations.
Not able to start the show.
For Bill Day and Kirk Price and the absent producer Austin, I am Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues. City's back on Sunday. Let's go City.
Let's go Sexy Legs contest.
Bill, say something.
We are City.
So you got to say something for the podcast listeners.
No. They're not important. They're not important. They
make up about 95% of our audience.
They don't mind. They don't mind.
They can hear me pointing. I point that hard.
We love you, podcasters.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?